I think my objective is simple. What I want to do is just share with you related industry, so it's within the larger pharmaceutical, but with a slightly different twist. Regulation is slightly different, the audience is slightly different, and share with you where we are, what are the things we're doing, and just give you a sense of the animal health space within pharma. So hopefully, it will give you a sense tangentially of another area within pharma. So adding on to Lisa's question, how many pet owners do we have here? Wow. I'm not a pet owner. OK. So for those, how you don't have to have a pet to be in the industry. So there are two aspects of animal health. Pet owners is one part of it. The other part of it is the livestock side. So how many people here eat meat? Chicken, poultry, beef? OK. So any vegans who don't have pets here? Because that's the only audience that we don't really target. So even though animal health is a small segment, both from a revenue perspective in the larger pharma space, we do have a critical space, we believe, that can make an impact. So that was just a brief illustration. How do I move this forward? OK, so what I want to talk about is a little bit about the industry and then contextualize that with the role that I have within Pfizer Animal Health. So it will give you some context. And talk a little bit about eBusiness and digital strategy, and then give you and share with you some learnings that we've had. In some ways, we're behind the human side. In some ways, we're trying out some new and interesting things. But again, the learnings are both experiences that we've had on a couple of case studies, one that we plan on launching soon, one where we had some learnings and ways that we could improve. So the animal health market, so the global market for the ethical or RX side is about 20 billion, so very, very small compared to the human side. But this does not include the OTC, the nutraceuticals, as well as all the, the toys and things that go with the pet owners. For example, I think in the US, around 40 billion is spent on all the other stuff, the food, the trinkets, the games, the things for pets. So our focus is, again, on the animal health side today. We are, after the post Wyeth for Dodge. For Dodge was the animal health component for Wyeth, the largest company. Again, that might change depending on the Merck and Schering-Plough deal, and depending on what they do, whether they do a joint venture or they combine the company. And we do cross a bunch of different species. So everything in our industry is known as species. So we have different business units that address it, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So my role, and the reason I'm sharing this with you, will sort of add to the context of our digital vision and our strategy moving forward. So I am part of what we call the channel management group. So we view the digital or e-business as a channel, an important one, but another channel that we want to leverage for direct revenue impact. So I have a clear mandate, what we want to do, and how we want to leverage this channel. And so I'm not aligned with a specific species groups within our company. So we have livestock, and we have companion animal. Companion animal includes pets like cats and dogs, and also equine. So horses are included in that segment as well. And then livestock, as I mentioned, swine, poultry, cattle, et cetera. One of the things that we want to ensure is that from a e-business or digital perspective, how do we create a strategy that is long-term, aligned with a longer-term vision, but still allows us to work closely with our marketing teams, our brand teams, to actually implement some of the marketing tactics. I think somebody earlier today said, or I've heard this before, a website does not make a digital strategy. However, a website tactic could be one of many things that should hopefully lead to a strategy. So the way I envision it, and I love food, so I'll sort of make it very simple, because I think very basics of how I work with our team. So we have marketing and brand teams across the different species, and my objective is to create the digital strategy vision. So I think of it as creating the perfect meal. So I'm sort of one of the chefs. with the utensils, with the kitchen, making sure everything is ready. And then the marketing people come, they bring in the content, the ingredients, and together as a partnership. So I won't work for them, they don't work for me, but we work as a partnership. Together, the idea is that all the tactics that we do, whether it's website strategy, the different things we're thinking about, e-learning, e-detailing, they all align and move towards a certain direction. The other thing is from a brand perspective, often the brand manager will think specifically because that's their mandate about their brand or about the therapeutic area, or in some cases about their business line. My objective is to align that across the different groups. And that's the whole area. And it's not just based on that we want to lower costs. Cost is an important consideration, but it's about the customer experience. So if you think from the vet perspective, that's our customer. I'll talk a little bit about our direct customer. And we have practices which are either sometimes small animal practice, where you might be taking those of you, hopefully you're taking your pets to make sure that they're healthy, or the livestock practice, but they also are mixed practices. So vets that have clinics where there's an equine vet, there's a small animal vet, or even cattle vets. So the idea is how do we ensure that when they think and they come and get services, get product from Pfizer Animal Health, that they have that consistent experience, which is catered to their needs, but still consistent across. So I wanted to share that with you. One other thing, so one of the things that structurally we've done in the organization, I have a small group of individuals that work for me who are actually sales representatives. So they actually are what we call inside sales. So they're not telemarketers, but they do leverage the phone as well as e-detailing to actually target our audience and our customers. And the reason for that organizational construct is because we want to make sure that before we scale anything out, we actually work with these individuals closely, and actually not necessarily test, but start off because these folks actually target our lower customer segments, the small vet clinics and the vet hospitals, which have one, perhaps two vets practicing. So this actually works very well, because as we're trying to roll out and create these strategies and implement them, we want to use this as a key channel to start off with. Okay, so anybody remember who this person is? And there's a little bag, and I have to actually, so when Johnson & Johnson, the gentleman from Johnson & Johnson, he was talking about the black bag. So Pfizer is not going to be left behind. We have a brown bag. So I have to thank my friend Miguel Lara here, because he had a bag, and I asked him during the break whether I could use it. So does anybody remember this reference? Yes. So one of I didn't grow up in the U.S., but this was one of my favorite shows growing up. So this is Doc Baker from the Little House on the Prairie. And the reason I bring this up is because if you remember back then, when and this is more related to house calls, when the physician used to come, they used to have the medication in the bag. So animal health is similar. So the vets, as you know, when you go, for those of you who are pet owners, the vet actually sells or dispenses the product. So we actually target directly the vets, and they buy the product from us. So unlike our pharma colleagues, where you're tracking the prescriptions and how the detail has worked and how your sales force has impacted, our sales force directly sells product, gets invoice, so we know exactly what the vets are selling. So it's slightly different in terms of the way we market and sell and the data that we capture. So I just wanted to highlight that in here. What I want to do here is just show you some of the complexities in the industry to show you, again, from a channel perspective, and then add in the further, as the internet has evolved and people sell products online, how that is impacting the space. So from a Pfizer perspective, we have OTC, which is, again, non-retail, non-RX products. And then obviously we have the ethical vet channel. So we work with ethical distributors. So they're distributors focused who sell our product, mostly in cattle and equine.